Few tales are told of Hades, whose very name inspires fear and penitence, reminding us of the inevitable fate which we all share. I, however, mean to tell you such a tale. Listen carefully.
Hades is a game that struck me for two reasons. I love roguelikes and I love Bastion, and part of me feels like I could probably end the review here. If you like both of those things, this will be your cup of tea. Or if you like one of those things, it probably still will be your cup of tea. However, in the interest of due diligence, I shall expand upon that.
The dead are judged and sent to Asphodel, Elysium, or Tartarus. We keep the process neat and orderly. Everyone gets in, no one gets out.
Let's start with the meat and bones. The gameplay. The gameplay is great. It does everything that a roguelike should do. It's intensely tactical, you go in with one strategy and then based on the luck of the draw you have to adapt. To start with, you have one weapon, your sword, and a thrown spell-like thing called a cast, and that's about it. You fight your way through the dungeon and pick up various resources. Darkness, gems, coins, keys, and most importantly, boons. I'll start with the boons because they're the most interesting. Each boon is gifted by a different Olympian god, with one notable exception, but I'll leave you to find that out. And each god is paired with a mechanic, a debuff, an ability, something like that. Poseidon gives you knockback on your attacks, Athena lets you deflect enemies' attacks, Artemis gives you critical hit chance, etc, etc. This changes each run in unique ways. You go in with the expectation that you can be a long-range nippy fighter, when you discover that Athena's deflect makes close-up fighting far more viable and efficient. And that's the very basic loop, and it's a great one. Nothing special, a wider variety of possible options, but essentially, nothing special. Your strategy adapts to the circumstances of the loot you gain, and that means every run is different. Just like a roguelike, you keep specific resources on death. Nectar, which increases friendship, which in turn grants passive bonuses. Gems, for renovating the dungeon and making subsequent runs easier. And darkness points, to increase stats that are global, that don't change from run to run. There are a few other resources, but those are the main ones you'll be dealing with for the first 10 or so hours. It feels great to move around and fight, and you feel clever for adapting your strategy to fit the boons that you've been granted. The gameplay is special in that it's the top-down isometric experience that's classically SuperGiant, but outside of being a very polished Bastion-esque roguelike, it's nothing revolutionary. But it doesn't need to be. The standard gameplay loop is extremely fun, it doesn't ever get dull, and the difficulty is pitched perfectly. It's hard to stand out among roguelikes, and the gameplay isn't the most impressive part. It's great, but again, nothing particularly revolutionary. It's part of what makes me keep wanting to come back after a particularly difficult run where I make it to the end boss for the first time and I get him down to like 2 HP and I'm very low on resources myself, but I feel really successful, only to learn that goddamn is going to get back up and fight me again and I don't have the resources to be able to fight him and it's really difficult. Yes, what makes me keep wanting to come back after devastations like that is partly the varied gameplay, but also this game looks and sounds positively gorgeous. The concept art for one thing, they've managed to make their own mark on ancient Greece. Each god in Hades is distinct and memorable entirely down to the art design. Brilliantly expressive, clearly a lot of love put in, just absolutely gorgeous really. The pixel art is, a little bit less impressive, the mobs in the game are decent enough, but the real delight is the concept art, the hand-drawn stuff. The vistas of hell, the gods and goddesses, all absolutely incredible. The unique environs you experience are really nice, very pretty and atmospheric. It really places you into the ancient Greek world, and the music of each one, Tartarus, Asphodel, Elysium, Chaos, and the Temple of Styx, is appropriately amped up and motivating. There is a bit of lore, but most of it's fairly standard fare for ancient Greece, but how they play with it is quite interesting. The presence of the main character, Zagreus, is, of course, one distinction that's, particularly notable. Hades doesn't have many notable children in the myths, none that are traditionally ascribed to him, and much less with the goddess of night, Nyx. And for that matter, where's Hades' wife, Persephone? Where indeed? we never meet her, but she is referenced, and the mystery of where she went is one of the driving factors of the plot. I say plot sort of with air quotation marks because, like a standard roguelike game, the plot's really more like background pieces that are revealed slowly over time through the frankly gorgeous, again, codex. Brilliantly well written, the art's incredible, all of that sort of stuff. All of the bells and whistles are all there. But that's fine. Not every game needs to be incredibly plot heavy. It's interesting enough that it keeps you coming back, and, like for most roguelikes, for Hades, that is all it takes. Hades is an incredibly good example of how to do roguelike well. Again, nothing particularly revolutionary, but it doesn't need to be. It's great at what it does. And all that, it's still only early access. So the fact that it feels this polished is great. It's been on early access a while, so maybe that's no surprise, but still, it means that they have room to grow, room to develop, and I'm really intrigued to see what the finished product actually looks like. There are a few things I'd like to see added, maybe more weapons or an expanded talent system. I really like the Greek gods, so maybe seeing more of them would be cool. I feel like they're referenced but only touched upon, and I'd like to see maybe some more questline type experience, or we actually get to meet them in the game. That sort of stuff would be cool, but again, not necessary, and to be honest, maybe wouldn't be that interesting in reality. As of yet, when you finish, the plot doesn't really resolve itself, which is fine. It's sort of like a third order thing for roguelike games. They've got the most important bits down first, but I would like to see them invest a little more into it. Honestly, short of that, I don't really know what the game could add. It's really, really good. I'd heartily recommend it, and I really am intrigued to see where they go from here, because they still have a few more updates before they leave early access. And that was all I had for my Hades review. The game's been out for a while now, so it's not particularly time sensitive, but it is supposed to come out of early access in 2020 of this year, so I thought that now might be a good time for a refresh on it. Most of this has obviously been game capture and not video, but I think that I'm going to use the video stuff for more exploratory, sort of essay-like topics and structures. And then I forgot something that is mostly just like a game review. I'm going to spend most of my time looking at that game because I figure that's probably what people want to see. But again, if it's not and you want to see more of my face, or you don't like this sort of review style video, or you want something a bit more like my other videos, let me know, tell me in the comments, and I'll take that feedback on board. And just in general, I'll take any feedback on board. So any of your likes or comments or subscriptions or anything really seriously do mean a lot to me, particularly right now at the beginning when I'm working so hard on trying to make this viable and trying to be consistent and stuff like that. So seriously, your support does mean a lot. So thank you very much so far, everyone who's given it to me. If you've made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoyed making it. Hades was a great fun game to play, and I'm sure it'll be fun for you to play if off the back of this you decide to get it as well. So I think that's all that I have to say for today, and we shall see each other hopefully very soon. I don't know what I'm planned for next, but when I do, I'll let you know. Thank you very much, and goodbye.